Hello everyone, and I'm Autobot Sonic the Telltale Gamer, bringing latest and everything Telltale games, Life is Strange, and many other things. So I hope you guys enjoyed my new intro that I've put together for the year 6 anniversary of my channel. I know it's not like a huge departure, but I definitely was super proud of the rebranding I've done to this channel, and that is only be done in part thanks to the wonderfully talented artist MechGutz, who I commissioned this lovely redesign of my profile from. So if you want to go ahead and give the other stuff, go ahead and follow MechGutz on Twitter, Instagram. Links to her profiles will be down in the description below. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this video, as yesterday was a big day regarding Skybound X and the Clementine one-shot comic. Earlier yesterday, during Skybound's XPO 10-year celebration, where it's so far it's been like a yearly thing. Skybound's done kind of like their own online Comic-Con of sorts. So with this year's Skybound XPO, they had a panel dedicated to talking about all the things happening with Skybound X and how it came to be, and during which we got a little more insight into what we can expect from the Clementine one-shot that will be included with Skybound X issue 1, as well as a few more covers of future Skybound X titles, which give us more insight into the Rick Grimes 2000 storyline. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the Clementine story, which I'm sure all of you have been here for, which we've got a lot of stuff to talk about with the Clementine one-shot. So starting with the Clementine one-shot, I want to make a clarification as to what I said with my first announcement video about a few weeks ago. In that issue, in that video, I stated that the Clementine one-shot would be written by Robert Kirkman and drawn by Charlie Adlard. I was under the assumption that I didn't know actual confirmation that that was happening. I just thought it was based on the fact that, well, Walking Dead is Robert Kirkman, and Charlie Adlard's always been the artist of Walking Dead. But apparently, no, Robert Kirkman and Charlie Adlard will not be involved with the Clementine story. Instead, the Clementine story will be written and drawn by award-winning graphic novelist Tilly Walden. And now I've done some research on Tilly Walden. She is a huge fan of the Telltale games, been playing them ever since season 1 when she was 15 years old, which is really crazy to think, because I was 14 when the Walking Dead season 1 came out. And so she's been a huge fan of the Telltale games and has done several Eisner award-winning graphic novels. And I can definitely say from the 2 pages of the Clementine one-shot that have been released, she's definitely nailed the art style of the comics, but while also putting her own little spin on it. And I definitely think it fits the theme of Telltale's The Walking Dead, where, especially the final season, where it's a lot more, like, almost mystical of sorts compared to the much more grittier comic and TV show worlds. So I definitely think that Tilly Walden was a great choice for the Clementine comic, and it definitely shows with the way that she's talking about. She says that she loves the character Clementine. She wanted to make sure that she represented her as faithfully as possible. And that brings me to my second point in this video, which she confirmed that the Clementine one-shot is canon to The Walking Dead, the final season. Now, a lot of people I heard on the Twitter and several other internets, social media, got really, really upset about this, because they thought, oh, well, that means there's going to be canon choices, and so, let's say they show Violet, then that means it's canon that Violet is romances Clem or something like that. But no, I really don't think that's going to be the case as shown by these 2 images or pages of the Clementine one-shot, and I'll get into that once we talk about it. So for now, let's go ahead and actually talk about what these 2 pages of the Clementine comic are, which I'm really excited to share with you all. So the first page we have here of the Clementine comic it definitely feels just like the Walking Dead comics. We see the Erickson school at, it appears to be in the early daytime. It's all in black and white, which is of course very thematic of the actual Walking Dead comics, which are all in black and white. And so we also see here in this first panel of the Erickson boarding school, it's been fortified a lot more since the events of the Walking Dead final season. We see now there's a bunch of sheet metal surrounding the admin building. It looks like they've got a garden growing in the courtyard as well. It looks really nice. And then we see what I presume on the top right corner is Clementine and AJ's room, and that's AJ perhaps maybe still asleep in his bunk. But then we see that the other bunk, Clementine's bunk, is actually empty. That leads us to the rest of this page, where we get our first shot of Clementine, and it's a close-up of her feet hopping down the stairs of the main admin building in Erickson's. And the one thing to point out here is that Clementine here has a peg leg. Yes, now this is something I really wanted to see Skybound, or even to Electric and Telltale, do with the Walking Dead the final season, is how when episode 4 ends with AJ cutting off Clementine's left foot to save her from dying from getting bit on the ankle. AJ has the option to joke to Clementine about how he would make a new foot for her, and as we can see here in this comic, Clementine now has a peg leg which she walks around on, and I love that. It really fits the theme about if you remember back, if you chose to save Lewis in episode 2 of the final season, and then Violet ends up getting losing an eye in the explosion at the start of episode 4. When Violet and Clementine are talking at the end of the game, she jokes about how she and Clementine make a pirate if she had a peg leg. I just think that'd be great if we get a little joke here of Clem pretending to be a pirate with her peg leg. But anyway, we see Clementine walking down the stairs here of Erickson, still using crutches despite her peg leg, as she walks out of the front of Erickson's towards the front gate. And that leads us to the second page here, where we get our first proper look of Tilly Walden's Clementine. And I gotta say, she looks really, really good as art style. I know a lot of people were giving shit to Charlie Adler's interpretation of Clementine, but I thought his version of her fit the comic very well. But also, Tilly Walden's, it does a really, really good job of drawing Clementine. Her art style kind of has that, YA, young adults, like, graphic novel feel to it. Like, I feel like, I can't really, say, what, I guess, if anything, it kind of feels something very similar. If you ever watched the Netflix series Dragon Prince, her art style feels very similar to that. It looks really nice. So we see here Clementine steps outside of the gates of Erickson's with a big smile on her face, walking with her crutches and peg leg and a little backpack on her back, which we saw in the second cover of The Walking Dead of Skybound X issue 1, which we now know Tilly Walden did the cover for that cover for that issue. And so as she walks, we see this really funny image of her closing the gate to Erickson's as a walker is impaled on a spike trying to reach out to her, but she just ignores it and goes walking off into the forest. And that's all we have so far for the first 2 pages of, or presumably the first 2 pages of the Clementine one-shot will be. Now the real question on everyone's mind, I'm sure, is where is Clementine going? We see her, she doesn't seem to be armed with any weapons. She's still armed with crutches and a peg leg. They're not wrapped in barbed wire like they are in the Walking Dead Road to Survival game that I was hoping that they'd be, but so it doesn't seem like she has any weapons. So why is Clementine seeming so calm about walking out into the open with crutches and one less leg when she could be taken out by a walker or anything? So the way I see this going is basically, I've had this theory in my mind for a few months now, actually, for if a Clementine comic ever was made. So what I think is going to happen is, I think Clementine will be the only character in this comic. I don't think we're going to see Willie, Sim, Lewis, Violet, even AJ. I don't think we'll even see AJ in this comic. We might see AJ. If any character, we might see AJ in this comic. But to me, I think Clementine's going to be the only character in this comic. It's going to be probably her walking out into the forest one early morning at Erickson's. And so she'll probably end up, what I believe, is walking out to a little fishing shack where Violet and Brody went fishing in episode 1, and even AJ's there at the end of episode 4. She'll probably go there, maybe try to catch some fish, maybe even take down a walker or two, see how if she can still survive well with just one leg. And then she ends up maybe sitting down at the bench of the fishing shack, and then at that point, all of a sudden, Lee will show up to talk to her. Yes, now, I remember a lot of people asking about this back when The Walking Dead, the final season was still in development. When we had the Lee flashback towards the end of episode 3 of season 4, a lot of people wanted her to talk to Lee again in episode 4, but unfortunately that didn't happen. I totally understand why Telltale decided to do that. So the way I feel like this is going to go is that Clementine will go to the fishing rack, she'll have a little conversation with Lee, where she'll be talking just to Lee about what's been happening this whole time, how her life has been since she saved everyone at Erickson's, got her leg chopped off, and basically how she's coping with that. And I think it'll be cool to basically serve as a sort of a farewell to Clementine, kind of also most similarly to, if you remember in Life is Strange Before a Storm, the bonus farewell episode of that, about how about how it was sort of a goodbye message to Chloe and Max, saying that would be the last time we really see them in the Life is Strange games. So I feel like this could serve as, as a sort of a farewell for Clementine almost. Now, I know perhaps Skybound Games may pick up the rights to Walking Dead at some point in the future, and but if they did, I think AJ would be the main character. AJ or Javi, really. But I think Clementine's story is done, so this comic will probably just be a little farewell to Clementine. Basically, She may be a minor character in a potential Season 5 if it ever gets made, but I feel like her main story is done. So it's probably just going to be her talking to Lee about everything, and like if she feels like she's made the right choices and all that. It's not going to be something like huge. It's not going to reveal anything groundbreakingly new like people are making up to be. I think it's going to be a nice little sweet piece, seeing what Clementine looked like in the comics, and basically just have her contemplating over what has happened since the events of the final season. To me, I feel like this takes place since she still clearly looks around 17 to 18 like she was in the final season. I would imagine this takes place roughly a few weeks after the events of episode 4, considering she has the peg leg now, so it's not immediately after the events of the final season. Yeah, I would say at most probably like a month or two after the events of the final season. A lot of people were saying, oh, they want to know who the caravan is that AJ goes to check out with Violet or Lewis. But I don't think we're going to be seeing that, because that caravan only shows up if 10 dies. If 10 lives, then the ending is instead just AJ either teaching 10 to shoot or 10 teaching AJ to draw properly. So the way I see it is, I think it's really just going to be about Clementine. AJ may be there to talk to Clementine a little bit, but I think the story is mainly going to revolve around Clementine and just her talking to Lee. I think that those are going to be the only characters we see in the comic, and I'm excited to see that happen. Now, I know that's all we have to say about the Clementine stuff, but I also want to make a little bit here at the end towards talking about Rick Grimes 2000, which was essentially the main story of Skybound X. Now, if you don't remember what I said about Rick Grimes 2000 in my last video about the Clementine comic and Skybound X, Rick Grimes 2000 will be a 5-issue mini-series that'll be the main focus of every issue of Skybound X, of all 5 issues of them. And it'll basically be a sequel to a epilogue story, like a non-canon alternate ending that Robert Kirkman did to issue 75 of The Walking Dead over 10 years ago, in which Rick and the gang end up battling walkers, which were a bioweapon created by aliens to get all of Earth's water supplies, which are basically money to them. And so the aliens have enlisted several Walking Dead villains like the Governor, Negan, Alpha, the rest of the Whisperers, and so on, to try and stop Rick and everyone from killing them all and preventing them from getting the water. So, in the very first, I guess what you call it, issue 0 that showed up in issue 75, we got our designs for Rick, the Governor, Lori, Tyrese, Martinez, Axel, even Michonne, but of course she was killed by the Governor at the end of issue 75, so which explains why Rick has Michonne's laser katana / lightsaber throughout all this. But Skybound, during their Skybound XPO, Skybound actually revealed the covers for issues 2 and 4 of Skybound X, or at least the main covers of those issues. So for issue 2 here, we have the cover done by Cliff Rathburn, who is a secondary artist for both Invincible and The Walking Dead. And I gotta say, I love this cover. We have Rick Grimes 2000 here, armed with Michonne's lightsaber katana and his prosthetic arm. We see this really cool image of the Governor's skull, like, really menacing as Rick stands on top of a bunch of dead walkers and robots. And then we get our first look at actually Andrea's design for Rick Grimes 2000. And I gotta say, I absolutely love Andrea's design here, especially with her big-ass laser rifle that she's got, which really harkens back to the fact that, like, in the main Walking Dead comics, Andrea was basically the sharpshooter of Rick's group. So I love how they're kind of just taking Andrea's, like, characteristics from the main Walking Dead comics and just cranking that up to like 20 in terms of absurdity, where she's got this full-blown like wasteland gear set, she's got the big laser rifle. I absolutely love this design for Andrea, and I can't wait to see. This makes me really excited for what Rob Kirkman has planned for what characters like Alpha, Jesus, and Ezekiel are gonna look like. I really want to see what Ezekiel and Alpha are gonna look like, honestly, even Jesus too. And that leads us into the cover for issue 4 of Skybound X, the main cover. This one is done by Charlie Adler, who of course is the main artist for the Walking Dead comics. But just so you know, Charlie Adler will not be doing the art for Rick Grimes 2000. Instead, the art will be done by Ryan Ottley, who of course was the main artist for the Invincible comic book series. And just Charlie Adler here did the art for this cover, similar to how he did the art for issue 1 of the Clementine one-shot, even though Tilly Walden will be writing and drawing that comic. So, for issue 4's cover, we have Rick Grimes 2000 here battling Negan. And I gotta say, unlike Andrea's design, I can't say I'm really that impressed with Negan's design here. I mean, yeah, it's Negan, yeah, but that's all in all, I really don't see anything different here about Negan's design compared to how he looked in the actual Walking Dead comics. He still has the jeans, the black jacket, the red scarf. the only real differences he has here are like the futuristic belt he's got, and of course the laser Lucille, which I gotta say, the fact that like Lucille's like a laser baseball bat, I really like that idea. But it just looks like Negan to me. It's not like Rick 2000 here, where he's got the robot hand and the dumb superhero costume, or Andrea, where she had the badass like wasteland outfit. Negan just looks like Negan, and I really hope that I really wanted to see Negan get like a more ridiculous outfits. But I gotta say, I really do like the laser Lucille, and I can't wait to see what Rob Kirkman does with Negan in the comics. But I'm just a little bit disappointed by his design in the Rick Grimes 2000 storyline. Hopefully he does better with characters like Alpha, Ezekiel, and Jesus. And so that was my little update video on Skybound X and the Clementine one-shot and Rick Grimes 2000. So, as I said before, we got our first 2 pages of the Clementine comic and confirmation from the artist and writer Tilly Walden that the Clementine comic will be canon to The Walking Dead the final season. For those who don't remember, Skybound X issue 1, which contains the Clementine story, will be releasing in July in 2 months from now. So are you guys excited to see this Clementine comic in its full glory and see what exactly it will mean for Clementine's character going forward, as well as the continuation to Rick Grimes 2000? If you are, be sure to like, comment, and of course subscribe, and I will see you guys later.